the subject of art. Artwork is meaningless in the absence of form and the content. Are forms and content inseparable? The first question that is frequently asked, what is it? Or, what does it mean? Hence, to understand further, this lesson will discuss the subject type of arts, source of subject, kinds of subject, and content in art. Learning objectives. Understand the different subjects of arts. Distinguish the concept of representational and non-representational subject type of arts. Identify the different kinds of subject. And analyze the meaning of the different content of art. According to Mark Fussell, there are 3 types of arts to be considered. The objective or representational art. Abstraction. The non-objective or non-representational art. The objective or representational art is the actual object of the reality. This type of art has subcategories which include realism, impressionism, idealism, and stylization. For example, self-portrait, or when one draws or paints as exactly as what is being portrayed. Abstraction is a type of an art that takes the subject into the reality but in a different representation. Elements are being represented that transform the subject. For example, if an artist is painting a tree but not as the tree that is being represented, then it is a tree but not the actual tree. In other words, the subject conveys a message in which the perception of the perceiver is different from what is to be perceived. This type of art evolved during the 19th century, wherein both Impressionism and Expressionism were methods that have been used. For example, a distortion of the real basis of art. Thus, if the artist begins with the reality, then it is an abstract art. But, the actual representation is distorted. Non-objective or non-representational type of art is only made by a subject for aesthetic purpose. One might say that this type of art is the same as the abstract, but it is often the mistake of the perceiver. How one can recognize if an art is an abstract or a non-object art? Very simple. If an artist starts with no reference to the reality, then the actual output is called non-objective or non-representational art. Sources in art may take any form such as artwork, autobiographies, film of the artist, artifacts of the artist, photographs of the artist, etc. If one will try to analyze the sources of art, its focus is on the artist's work. Why? Precisely because it is original. Primarily, the artist's work is informative in such a way the perceiver is obligated to think critically about such artwork. One of the sources of art is the nature itself. The actualization of one artwork is originated from nature's. Building of houses and other infrastructures are sourced by nature simply because for humanity to live. That is the very purpose, but this does not end here. Speaking of purpose, the idea is for the artist to procreate God creation, by developing things toward perfection, and discover new things out of what has been developed. Thus, devaluing art is the start of depleting the nature. Another source of art is the history, and the product of it is no other than but its written output. A very concrete example is the literature. For example, sacred texts, Greek and Roman mythology, Judeo-Christian tradition, other text art, etc. Thus, there are only 2 sources of the subject art, the nature, the cosmos or the universe, and literature. Other sub-sources are the mediums of arts and other technological artifacts. There are several kinds of subject matter in arts which include landscape, portrait, still life, historical, figurative, social or political, etc. According to Thania McCardle, landscape refers to an artwork whose primary focus is natural scenery, such as mountains, forests, cliffs, trees, rivers, valleys, etc. In other words, the surroundings are the basis for one art. Meaning, one can freely picture them to portray the present moment. The style, the way the artist's layout may occur upon perceiving the moment of transformation of his or her art. That is the reason why, according to Bloomberg 2020, landscape paintings embrace the freedom of abstraction to form by way of line, color, and form the last remaining remnants of a traditional landscape into mere suggestions of the natural and built world. An example of figurative still life. Social or political. Thus, all subject matter in arts gives a meaning that requires humanity to reflect and understand art's essence. The content in art. The term content refers to the meaning of the work subject matter. To understand more the meaning of content, one should understand also about forms. This term is important for its uses to designate a genre, pattern, and rhymes. Hence, the term forms, according to Dorothy Baranska, refer to the work composition, techniques, the use of media, and the implementation of the different elements of design. Thus, without the form in an artwork, the content is meaningless. Now, there are levels of meanings in the content of art. The factual, the conventional, the subjective. Factual meaning refers to statements that are literally or narratively directly apprehended, in which the content object of the artwork be easily recognized when an artist presents their works. Conventional meaning refers to the elements of a particular artwork presented by an artist to symbolize or depict a group of people or culture. In other words, the colors, lines, and other elements of arts, for example, flag, signifies to what country or organization it belongs. Subject meaning of art refers to the subjective definition in which an artist conveys a particular articulation of art. In other words, lines, colors of a symbol, for example, red heart, may be defined as compassion, love, martyrdom, etc. Now, the importance of these levels of meaning, on the side of the perceiver, is to provide a reason on how to learn and study a certain work of art of an artist by knowing their lifestyle, work, and their history.